So, yeah, so the topic today is to execute Selenium test in Docker. So we'll touch base on the different topics such as what is Selenium and how do we execute Selenium test and what are the different options available. And the most common option usually preferred is Selenium Grid, where you can schedule your test, and we will see how the Docker can come in help and solve some of the major issues uh, that are in Selenium Grid. So we'll just get started. So Selenium is, I would like to give a quick brief introduction about Selenium. Selenium is an open source test automation tool, which is used to automate browsers or web-based applications. Selenium offers various language bindings that you can use. So you can write your script in Java or Python or JavaScript, and similar languages. And basically it is used to automate web browsers, and you can, like as a tester, you can automate your regression test cases or functional test cases. It supports various browsers such as Chrome, Firefox, IE, and Safari, and it basically runs on almost any operating system, Windows, Linux, Mac. And it offers a great integration with other tools such as TestNG, JUnit, Cucumber, Maven, and Jenkins. The major part of the important part of Selenium is Selenium Webdriver, which is an API that interacts with browser, and it is used to communicate with the browser on your machine, and it can perform some actions like clicking, scrolling, and selecting various web elements on the browser. So uh, as a tester, let's say you have written some test cases, you have automated them, and you are ready to execute them. There are various choices available to you. You can run it either locally, or you can run it on the grid, which is a popular option. And the most recent option is like running Selenium Grid on Docker. So we'll see first of all what Selenium Grid is. So Selenium Grid is it is a framework for executing tests on different machines. So it will let you execute test parallelly. So let's say you have 100 or 200 test cases, and it takes around 1 hour for them to execute on a machine. Then you can add one more machine and help reduce that time. So that kind of an framework is called a Selenium Grid. So it has a hub and node kind of an architecture. So hub is a central server which can send requests to the node, and on node the actual browser will open, and on over there it will run your scripts. So but the common problem with Selenium Grid is it requires a really high maintenance, because you have either physical machines as a runner, or you have virtual machines, and you need to connect them every time. You need to get the entire setup up and running. So and it also requires a lot of memory. It consumes a lot of memory, which can impact the test execution, and it can slow down your test execution. So you can end up in some hanging sessions, and Windows getting crashed and all. So the best solution for this problem is running Selenium on Docker. So Docker is nothing but a containerized solution. So sorry, I just missed a slide. So this is how the Selenium Grid looks like. So it has a hub and a server, which I just mentioned, and it will let you execute in parallel. The only thing which I missed probably is the operating system. So you can have these different machines with different operating systems and different versions of different browsers installed on them, and you can literally choose from the desired capabilities over here to the left in your script, and then according to your script, it will execute on a specific browser. So it can execute your UI test basically on the browser that you specify in your desired capabilities. So that's one thing I missed. So talking about the Docker is again an open source lightweight solution where you can have this grid structure, and the Selenium HQ is the company which is already maintaining specific containers on this Docker hub. So like you said, the Docker is like a container based solution. For those who are not aware about the Docker, I mean, it provides a kind of a virtualization. It's very similar to virtual machine. It is not a virtual machine. It's very similar. It provides the virtualization from the operating system level, and all the developer use Docker to write their code, deploy it, run it, and they use it to share their applications very easily with the Docker. So we will see how the Docker works. I'm going to just show you quickly what exactly when I say about container, what exactly they are. I'm using Windows machine. Docker, you can install Docker on Windows as well. The Docker can be installed from the Docker website directly, www.docker.com. You just need to have some basic system requirements, like you need to have JDK, and of course you need to have your Selenium Webdriver test ready. You can use VNC Viewer to see your test execution if you are using some debug nodes for either Firefox or Chrome driver. So we will see how that works in a minute. So this is again a Selenium Grid with Docker and without Docker. Let me quickly go back and open my console. I actually have few images downloaded and machine. I will begin with my test. So I have created a simple UI test, a Chrome demo, where I'm navigating to the Google site and then sending, and I'm just entering a few text like Selenium Docker integration Chrome. So we will see how that gets executed on Docker. But before that, we will check if we have all the Docker images up and running. So this is Windows console for me. Docker PS. I don't have any container, but Docker images is a command that you can check. So right now we can see that I have like 3 Docker images. One of them Selenium Hub. Second one is Selenium Node Chrome debug and Selenium Firefox debug. I've downloaded them from this Selenium website, which I can show you over here. Yeah, so this is a website, hub.docker.com, from where you can find various Selenium containers, and you can pull them from the site. The command that is used to pull these containers is written over here. So the Docker pull command, you can find it right over here. This is a Docker Selenium node, and what I have is Docker Selenium in a debug mode, so which is slightly different than what is listed here. Uh, I have already used the Docker pull command, which you can see over here, and then these images are right now on my machine. So I'm just going to run the Selenium hub, which is again the central server, and by default the Selenium hub is exposed on 4444 port, and then the next 2 commands which you can see over here is going to link the Selenium nodes to the hub using this link command. So if I run this, And if we check now how many container do we have now, we can see that we should have 3 containers. So each container will have its own unique ID. And we can see that we have these 3 Docker images linked with these 3 container. You can also check it in, if you have a Docker desktop, you can see this is a Docker desktop. When you install Docker, it gets installed on your machine. So you can see over here, we have pulled these 3 images. Right now they are in use, and we just run those 3 containers using these 3 commands. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back to my test, and if I run this test, uh, yeah. So before running our test on any remote machine, we have to specify the URL. So we exposed 4444 ports. So I should change that to 4444 and see if that works. We can have this Selenium Hub container. We can see that if we type the URL localhost 4444, you will see the Selenium Grid Hub is up and running. And if we click on console, we should see those 2 images that we linked. These are 2 nodes. One of the node belongs to the Firefox, another node is Chrome. So on these 2 nodes, we are going to execute our sample test. So, and if we want to view our test, I think, why do I have the VNC viewer? VNC, yes, I think. So we can see that if I go to, so I expose this debug container on 32777 port. So I'm going to copy this and type localhost. This is just that so that we can connect to the Docker machine and see how it executes on Docker. So the password is secret, literally secret, SCCRET, and then if I say OK, so we have, this is our container, and we connected to 779, which is our Chrome debug container. So I'm just going to right now connect to only one container so that we can see. And if I run my test, it should show me that it is going to open this Google website, and it is going to find an element. This Q element is basically the search element. So anything that we type when we open Google, that's this element is. And then I'm going to wait for a few seconds so that we see. I'm going to wait 10 seconds, and then I'm going to quit the browser. So before that, I want to, yeah, so let's just run it and see what happens. So if I run Chrome demo, and if I go back to this VNC viewer, it should show me it is going to launch. It is still opening. Fingers crossed. Hope it works. So yeah, it is opening. So this is the Docker container, and VNC viewer will let you be. It will let us see what is happening. So it is typed Selenium Docker integration Chrome that we passed in our test case over here. So if we see our test case, these were the text that we passed on our through our test, and it is opened and it has now closed the browser. So we can close this for now, and that is how basically this Docker containerization work. And the option that we just saw is is a is a is a very like a basic option, and the drawback of this option is every time you need to go and up this container, link them. So to avoid this problem, Docker will let you create a specification file, which is called as a Docker compose file. and I have created. So the command that I showed you over here, where we go and where we pull these images every time, and when we run those containers, so what Docker Compose file is let you have this at a very single click. I mean, you can perform all these actions very quickly by having one single specification file, and so that you don't need to repeat those steps every time you need to run your test cases. So the Docker Compose file, if I go to this, I forgot to show you this GitHub page maintained by Selenium HQ. So if you go to this page, and if we go on to Selenium 3, because I'm right now on I'm using Selenium 3 version, we can see that there is information of what images that you need to download, and they also have given some commands on how to create this grid architecture. And over here you can see that they talk about this connecting to Docker containers using Docker Compose file. And the Docker Compose file, the latest version is version 3. So I've copied this version, and I've created a Docker Compose YAML file. You can create that in any ID, either IntelliJ or I don't have it, so I'll show you over here. So yeah, so this is how the Docker Compose YAML file looks like. You can store this file in any folder. So when you run this Docker Compose file, you just have to make sure that you are in that specific folder in your console when you execute it. What it will do is it will pull Selenium Hub container. It will start running it. At the same time, it will pull the Chrome and Firefox node, and then it will link these nodes with the Selenium Hub container. So these are this is a setting by default. The Selenium Hub is exposed on 4444. Here you can specify how many maximum sessions that you want to run. So I have specified like a random number 16 over here. And then we also have a Chrome node, Chrome debug image that we initially pulled. And then we are linking that to this Selenium Hub, which is again our Selenium, the name of our Selenium Hub container. And so Chrome and Firefox. So the way to run them is, I think we need to close this. I'll show you how to do that. Docker ps, and then we can remove this. I'm going to remove these containers so that, sorry, Docker stop. These are the commands that are used to remove these containers so that we can run them again via Docker Compose file, and we'll see how quickly that works. Docker rm. So this is our third container. Docker stop. So if we say any images, Docker, sorry, I typed the wrong command. So it is Docker ps. Right now we don't have any container up, so we can check it in here as well in your Windows. So we don't have any container, no containers running right now because we stopped and removed them. And we are going to start another session. And I have saved this file at a different folder location. I've created a folder Docker Compose file. So I'm going to navigate to that path. Oh, okay, I'm already here. So if I say just clear, okay, so I'm at that folder where I have saved my Docker Compose.yaml. So at a very single command, I can start this grid. So it will create, you can see that just with a single click, now it is starting the hub. It is trying to run them and link them with the nodes. So you can see there is a message somewhere which should say Selenium Grid is up and running. So now we are good to go and run our test. The test. So this time I'm going to run two tests, and you can run them in parallel. To run them in parallel, you need to have some kind of a mechanism, and TestNG allows you to run your test in parallel. So we have one more test. It is called as Firefox Demo. So going back to the URL for Grid Console, if I refresh it, it will show me that, okay, I still have one Chrome and one Firefox up and running. So which means we are good to execute our test. So what I'm going to do right now is going to run this Chrome demo and Firefox demo. The only difference between them is the browser type. In this test, I am using Firefox browser, and in the first, I'm using the Chrome driver. So I can run them as a test.ng file, and they both should get run parallelly because I have set the parameter parallel is equal to test, and we can set the thread count to 2 probably because we just have 2 tests, and yeah, it should run that. So let's say I'm going to right click and run test.ng file. So if we go to the Grid console again, we'll see that these two, okay, the first one is the Chrome that got booked, and right now it's executing test on Chrome. And if I refresh it again, it is still on the Chrome. I'm hoping this Firefox, I think it was very quick, but Firefox has some issues. I don't know what is to add a document type. I think the Firefox execution wasn't successful, but the Chrome one was executed. There are some issues. Couldn't start as possible because invalid address of the build. There are some issues right now. I need to sort them. But the idea is this is how we execute tests in parallel by using test.ng if you have, and you can increase or decrease the threads using this test.ng.xml file. Another advantage of using this Docker compose file is you can increase the number of ports very quickly using a very simple commands. I'm going to